Nadeska here, back in the Apple Music New York studios for the first time since March 2020, and Baby Keem is here with me. Thank you for taking the trip to New York.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me for sure. It's been a long time, me following you, and I wanted to make a point to do this with you, or
Wow.
however we do it. So I appreciate you for having me here.
I'm honored, but that also makes me a little bit nervous, to be honest.
Nah, I'm a little nervous too, cause I'm not gonna lie, like ever since I was probably 15, you've been an outlet for information from me, just researching and things like that. So I appreciate you taking this time.
Thank you. It's crazy to hear that, because sometimes I feel like I just sort of do work in a vacuum. So it's nice to meet someone that I'm also a fan of, which is still so crazy to hear. But, you grew up out on the West Coast, right? You're from Vegas originally, and then you moved to California.
Yeah.
For a lot of people from the West Coast, sometimes New York can be a little bit overwhelming. But what do you think of my city?
I have an up and down relationship with New York, but typically when it's full form New York, I love it. Like right now, today, I'm kind of loving it right now. It just feels good to be gone. But when I first started coming out here, it was definitely super fast, and it took me a minute to get used to it. But I'm good for it now.
It's definitely a lot sometimes. And you did one of your first big headlining shows out here. So this was late 2019, right? You performed to a sold out crowd. And at that point, Die For My Bitch was already out. So people knew the music. They had some time to sit with it. But you were still pretty mysterious at that point. People weren't really used to seeing you or hearing from you outside of the music. And I'm wondering how you felt in that moment, hitting the stage.
It was incredible. That was one of the best shows on that tour. It was insane because it was I just remember having people outside waiting to get in, and it was already packed, and there was still more people trying to get in. I think the venue, it was a smaller venue, but it didn't feel, it felt like it was something weird going on. It was too many people. I don't think it was supposed to be that many people in there that night.
I'm happy that you decided to sit down with me for an interview. I've read some of your magazine features. I know you've done some of those interviews, but what were those early interviews like for you, up until now, being able to sit down here, do radio and, be on camera?
It was just learning really. I really had no idea how anything worked. This is my first time in a studio, hearing people talk back to me on the mic. Usually I hear myself in the headphones, but it's pretty cool. It taught me a lot on how to speak in that setting.
It seems like you've just been learning a lot over the past few years in general. So before Die For My Bitch, you had a project out called The Sound of Bad Habit, which is hard for me to say because I always want to correct it, grammatically, but it's not my project to correct.
Yeah.
And then you also had a project before that called Midnight. So when you dropped Midnight, I believe at that point, you weren't even officially Baby Keem yet, were you?
No, I was just making music in my room. Whatever, just in Vegas, whatever came out. I was still going to school and doing that whole process. So that was just me practicing, really.
So what changed for you as an artist between that project? What made you finally feel comfortable on The Sound of Bad Habit to officially come out as Baby Keem?
Honestly, it started with me hearing a beat from someone I was a fan of for a long time, Cardo. And when I heard the beat, I just started, I don't know, I had a newfound confidence. I just felt like saying I call myself Baby Keem. I always joke around, this is my name. I always make fake nicknames for myself and things like that. But when I heard that beat, it just sounded right. So I made a song called Baby Keem. And then, after that, it was just, that's what it was. And then shortly after Cardo, he was like, I want to do your whole project once he heard that song. And then we got to work.
So was that a turning point for you? Because it also seems like it took you some time. And it makes sense because you're still really young. Just coming into yourself as an artist, right? Even with the pitch of your voice. It sounds like that took you a minute. So on that project, were you feeling this is the me I feel comfortable with now and I'm good moving forward?
Yeah, no, for sure. It was just honing in on my newfound confidence and the things that I've learned. It was just all coming back together now. So those moments in the bedroom, researching and things like that, all kind of came back into play, and I was more than ready for the opportunity when Cardo, reached out.
All right, so from bedroom raps to sort of big, confident records, it's clear to me that your flow is really important to you as an artist, right? I hear that on songs like Hooligan, which is such a fun record. But it seems like before you put out Die For My Bitch, in the months leading up, or maybe the couple years, you also had a bit of a training camp experience. So you have songwriting and production credits on Black Panther soundtrack. one of the best movie soundtracks of all time, I think. Like, my producer knows I run that back on my show all the time. You worked on J-Rock's Redemption album, on a Crash Talk from Q, and even on Beyonce's Lion King soundtrack.
Yeah.
What were those experiences like for you as such a young artist, just moving from Vegas to California, working with artists like that?
It was very different because at that point I was still in my bedroom, like doing all that. Like,
really? You were writing from home still?
Like everything. I was doing everything from home.
Wow. I thought you were already moved out to California.
Nah, no, I didn't move until like Die For My Bitch came out. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I was still, like just at the crib. But it was cool because those are the moments that gave me confidence in myself, because for a minute I was like, I didn't know how it was gonna work. Like, am I a producer or am I like, what am I? Like, I want to be an artist, but does everybody else like know that? Like, you know what I mean? So it was just cool. Like, those were moments that just like built my confidence more to bring home to like my artistry. When
it came time to create Die For My Bitch, how did that come together?
That was a great project because songs like Orange Soda and things like that, they were still like I said, I didn't move to LA until it came out really. So I was really just going out there every now and then. I was still in school and like dealing with that. But
were you rapping for people in school? Did they know, or was this like a secret life that you had?
No, they knew for sure. But it was kind of just like, there's no one from Vegas that's really like blown up yet so far. Like, it's kind of been some people, but it's not. So I could see why they felt that way. So it was just kind of like a thing, like, okay, like he raps. Like, it wasn't really like like let's go. But I feel like it's like that for a lot of artists, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta show people first. Like, it's definitely a different reception if I go home now than it was.
I can imagine. Local celebrity.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love it out there.
All right, so Die For My Bitch is finally out.
Mm-hmm.
Now we left the Vegas bedroom. We're moving out to California.
Yeah.
Right? What were those first few months like for you now, being completely away from home? I assume this is the point where like, this is all really happening. There's no turning back. Like, where were you at mentally?
Mentally, honestly, I was just, I was still the same. Like, that's all I ever wanted to do was just work. Like, so now I felt like I have the resources to actually, get better, because honestly, like, as fun as it was being in the bedroom, it was kind of, I couldn't get further than that.
There is a cap on how far you can go in the bedroom. That makes sense.
Exactly. So, it just felt overwhelming kind of to have all these resources, but I felt ready. And I just used that time to just practice on other things, like other different genres of music, and just, different type of sounds and different ways to experiment with my voice and things like that. And just really to maximize the resource of using a studio, so that was my whole journey for like the first 4 months, was just studio 7 days a week. Like,
I mean, it paid off, right? So you have a core fan base, it seems, that really gravitates towards you. But I think that in any industry, getting respect from your peers or the people that you look up to has to be one of the ultimate compliments. And so I think Drake came out to one of your shows and he said Die For My Bitch was one of the best 2 projects of 2019, which is amazing. Obviously, that guy makes great music. Around March, you were tweeting Keem season because people were ready for more, right? They were paying attention. You had 2 projects out. You had all of this buzz around you. And then the world had to shut down. Yeah. There's nothing we could have done. Like, how did you feel? Like, did that actually change a lot of your plans for the year? Did it give you more time to plan and work behind the scenes? Like, how'd you feel about it?
Honestly, I felt very, very, very sad because I was so ready. Like, I had it all planned out, and I'm a big planner. So I had everything planned out, and I wanted to tour, I wanted to do all that. But and then I realized, like, that I'm actually grateful that it actually happened, like in the effects of me, because of, there's many other people in the world that, aren't as fortunate to, even, like be in a decent position. So I was like, okay, let me look at this a different way. I'm grateful, and let me take time to hone in on my skills and really perfect my album and things like that. So I stopped looking at it as a bad thing. It took me like, I got over it like the first month, and then I was like, okay, well, I could just sit at the house and just...
I get to be home again.
I get to be home
again. My
again.
favorite place.
Exactly. So once I started looking at it as a bad thing, like for me, my mental towards it got a lot better. But now that things are starting to change a little bit, I feel good again. I feel like how I felt at the end of 2020.
So last year you also landed on the XXL freshman cover list.
Yeah.
Did you care about the list growing up? Was this another dope moment for you?
Yeah, it was sick. It was two things that really made me want to do it. It was the fact that it was 2020, and I thought that was cool. Like in my head, like, I was like, oh, 2020, that's kind of cool. Like, and then of course, I definitely grew up like just researching just everything about that list and you know what type of stamp it put on those artists. And you know, I think it's fun to see because it's a thing where you get to look back on it and really see where people have gone. It's kind of like a yearbook, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I just once I agreed to do it, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, me agreeing to do this means that I don't want people to look back on it and be like, damn,
where'd that guy end up?
Yeah, and I don't want to be that guy on that list. So, you know, I got to do everything possible to, you know, keep making great music.
That's dope. It gives you something to prove. All right, so always evolving as an artist. So, you know, around last spring, when you started the PG Lang, I think it was called the mission statement.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it was very cryptic, the whole thing, but also very cool and artistic, which I think is what we all expect whenever Dave Free is involved in something.
Yeah, of course.
That's what we know him for. But, you know, of course, around that time, then people started asking, what is PG Lang? What is your relationship to them? What is your relationship to Kendrick? And on the Sons and Critics freestyle is the first time you really addressed that directly by joking about your cousin having an elevator in his crib and the baby pictures on the fridge. Like, why was that how you wanted to address all of those rumors or the conversations and questions?
Right. First, stemming to the PG Lang, what is the relationship? I have a partnership with PG Lang to creatively. So they handle a lot of aspects creatively and, you know, management-wise and things like that for me. We work as a team to contribute to each other's goals and things like that. And then regarding, like, Kendrick, it was, I don't know, it was funny. Like, people already knew, so it was like, you know, it was just one of those things where it's just like, it is what it is, you know?
I can joke about it now.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just that finding that newfound confidence, like I mentioned earlier. So
I mean, you'd also been on record saying that, of course, like Kendrick and Dave had been really integral and very involved in your career so far. And then when you guys covered ID magazine, I think they referred to you also as Kendrick's protege. I don't know if those are his words or those were just the magazine's words or whatever, but obviously Kendrick has done a lot of work and I'm sure he's someone who has given you good advice. Is that something that you appreciate and that is helpful to you at this point in your career?
Yeah, 100%, 1,000%. It goes beyond music with me and him. So, you know, whenever I need anything regarding like life and you know, if I need some wisdom, then that's who I go to. You know, that's one of the first people I look towards, him and Dave Free. So, yeah, it's been huge. It's been huge for me just as a young man. You know,
that's really dope, and I think. They're a good creative team to have behind you. I'm always a big fan of like the visuals, especially from Dave. And I know it seems like those are really important to you because all the ones you've dropped so far are dope and even the ones coming up. So it sounds like you regarded Die for My Bitch as a great mixtape, which it was, in that you sang the songs, you didn't feel like it all had to be super uniform or cohesive. It was a mixtape. You're allowed to be all over the place and have fun. But it seems like as we get closer to the album, how are you looking at your album differently?
I always say like an album is something that's cohesive, and you know, I look towards the greats when they would make an album. Kanye West, again, as I mention him a lot because that's been someone that I really just lately, especially, I've really been using as a resource for research. But yeah, he's I don't know, an album is something that's really cohesive in either sound or topic, and for me, that's how I kind of see me making an album, you know? So, yeah, Die For My Bitch was like definitely it was all over the place. I just want people to hear like what I can do, you know? So that was really what that is. And, you know, it was great. It was the best time making that project, and, you know, the best experience. Is gonna be hard to recreate it.
So in terms of making the album then, how has it been for you so far? I'm assuming that you've already been working on it. You did say that you're a planner. You admitted that yourself. Is it more difficult for you making a cohesive project? It's harder for you to get focused, or is it just sort of another chapter?
No, honestly, like cause like I said, when I go in the booth, I always have like a certain outline of how I kind of want to do things, and since I do produce and compose what's around me, and I could kind of control the sound of something. So yeah, it's kind of been easier than I thought. I kind of been preparing for it so for a while.
Been preparing for this one your whole life?
Yeah, I just knew like it was, I have to, like, if I ever want to take that next step as an artist, and then that's something that I have to do, and you can't avoid it. So this whole time since I even came into the game, I just knew it was something I had to do, which was create a cohesive project, and yeah.
In your mind, did you always have a plan of when in the sequence of things this would come, that you would have sort of 2 full-length mixtapes, then the album, or just as things were moving along, did it start to feel like this was the right time?
I take everything one at a time. Like, even though I do plan, I kind of, like, sometimes I'll make music for other stuff. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, whatever keeps me inspired in the moment. Just like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'll go to the studio with like, oh, I'm making something for my 3rd album. Like,
wow, okay.
And
so
then
you're planning in random buckets. Exactly. Could be pretty deep in the future.
Whatever inspires me, especially after last year, it's just like I learned that whatever inspires me, I just have to tag it. And whatever it is to stay inspired, I just have to do.
Wow. Are you going to be producing a lot yourself on the album?
Yeah, of course. I don't even mean to do that. Like, it just kind of happens. I feel like every single song I've either had like a composition, I took it from a composition aspect where I'm just like overseeing everything, and if not that, then I'm definitely doing it myself, you know? So
something I didn't actively notice when I was listening to your first projects, but in a good way, is that there weren't any features. Like, that didn't seem like a big priority to you, but then you recently dropped Do-Rag Activity with Travis Scott. That's a pretty big collaboration. Like, why did now feel like the time for you to start working with other artists?
I feel like it was always bound to happen. It's just, I don't know. I have great respect for these artists, especially if I've never done a feature, and Travis is one of the first people. Then, you know, I have a great respect for these other artists, and yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it was time to expand and work with other people and see how that is. You know, that's a whole new process for me too. Like, I didn't even know, like, I don't know. I never knew how I would sound next to somebody. Like, you know what I mean? And
so what was that like? So why didn't you collaborate with other people before? Was that actively something that you did not want to do because you wanted people to just focus on you as an emerging artist, or it just didn't make sense at the time?
Yeah, I feel like it just didn't make sense. Like, it didn't make sense at all. I definitely just wanted to create a body of work where it was just like me doing whatever, and, you know, and I just wanted, and the fans that I have are all from me. So, you know, like, it's pretty cool.
So what was that like then, working on your first big collaboration?
It was great. Like, you know, I pulled up and everything. I got the whole experience.
In the studio. Some people don't get that. Experience. Sometimes you just like trade an email.
Yeah, you like send the record and stuff like that. Nah, I got the whole experience with that one. That was cool. So it was great. Everything worked out. We did the video, and it was cool. Yeah, I appreciate him for that.
So probably more features to come now that you got the first one.
Yeah, no, for sure.
First one done.
For sure, it felt good. For sure, it just has to make sense though.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it just to do it. So.
And then how about the videos? Like I mentioned before, it seems like you guys really, really enjoy putting all these videos together, that you put a lot of thought into it. Mm-hmm. Are we going to see more of that as you start to roll out more songs from this?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I honestly, we look at the videos like they're songs in itself, if that makes sense. Like the same way I attack the studio is the same way I approach a video shoot and the concept of a video and things like that. That just, I don't know. It's just, that's how, I feel like that's how you keep the quality of those new and refreshing, you know? And so, yeah, I attack that like it's its own song.
It's all part of the art, and it's like the whole package, you know? I think for some artists that can be a bit of an afterthought, but it's good that for you, it's all really important. So it's been really amazing to see what you've done so far. I'm looking forward to the album, and I have to know, like, how's your grandma doing? Like, how does she feel about everything that's been happening for you over the past couple of years? Sounds like she was really supportive from the beginning.
Oh yeah, she's ecstatic, you know. She has a house now, everything. She's
okay,
good,
Grandma.
You know. But yeah, she's ecstatic. She texts me all the time, sometimes it's like, okay, I can't reply to this now, Grandma. It's too much. Like you just gonna keep going. But she's like, yo, like I got some bars for you, like da da da, like, and then she'll send me like a whole paragraph of something like I don't even know. I can't even read it no more, but it's a lot. And I'm like, thank you, Grandma. Like, love you.
She sounds like pretty hilarious, actually.
No, she's the funniest person.
So besides just, the career success for you, because clearly you're an ambitious person, you've been working hard. Does it feel good now to also be able to take care of your family? That must be really dope at like 20 years old.
Yeah, that was the first thing I did. Like that was the only thing I cared about. Really to go. I just made sure to go out my way and do that. I don't know. That's been a whole thing of me, like since I was young. So that's kind of been one of my motivations to even, be working as hard as I work. And it's cool to see them reap the benefits of whatever's been going on with me. So
that's amazing. So one day, can you make sure to document some footage at Grandma at one of your shows? That's going to be legendary.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm kind of sad. I wish I would have known like this would have all happened. I would have had her come to the other shows.
Don't worry. There's a lot more to come. You have a whole album coming, so she'll have time. It's going to be really amazing. Congratulations on everything so far. Looking forward to the album, Baby Keem.